The security alert came at 2:13 a.m. Property line breach. I didn't move. I watched the live feed instead. Headlights. Low beams, deliberate. My wife stepped out first, hair tied back. Wearing the jacket I bought her in Milan, she looked smaller in infrared. He followed. Her construction contractor, the man who had been fixing drainage issues for 3 months. They carried metal stakes and a laser level. They laughed. At 2:17 a.m., my wife moved the boundary marker 10 feet into my land. Our land. No, my land. She whispered something to him. He leaned in close. Too close. Her hand lingered on his chest longer than necessary. I muted the audio, not because I didn't want to hear, because I already knew. The betrayal wasn't the property line. It was the precision, the timing, the intimacy of conspiracy. I watched them redraw my world in the dark like thieves mapping a crime scene. And I felt nothing. Nothing on the surface. Underneath a slow surgical burn, I zoomed in on her face. She looked free. That was the first mistake she made. By morning, she was buttering toast, smiling. "Sleep well?" she asked. Perfect tone, warm, casual. I studied her hands. No tremor, no guilt. Just competence. She had always been good at roles. I nodded. I didn't mention the survey equipment in her trunk, or the contractor's truck hidden behind the tree line. Instead, I poured coffee and listened. She talked about expanding the garden, about how property adjustments were just paperwork. Paperwork done at 2 a.m. with another man. I said nothing, because silence is more expensive than anger. Over the next week, I noticed details I had previously dismissed. Late calls, construction invoices that didn't match square footage. A new perfume she claimed was a gift from a client. The contractor's name appeared too often in conversation, too comfortably. Then I checked the county's online registry. A boundary amendment had been filed, signed digitally, by her, transferring a narrow strip of our land into an adjacent development project. The contractor's project. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. It wasn't about 10 feet of soil. It was about leverage. If approved, the development would skyrocket in value. He would profit. She would share in it. And I was supposed to remain the aging husband with modest holdings and fading relevance. They thought I was small. That was the second mistake. I did not confront her. Instead, I called Zurich, quietly. My holding company transferred funds to a shell entity that specialized in infrastructure logistics. My real business, the one she never bothered to understand. For 20 years, I built a CRAIN transport empire across Europe and Asia under layered subsidiaries. Heavy lift logistics, offshore wind components, nuclear containment transfers, silent contracts, government tenders, 1.9 billion in controlled assets. She believed I was a conservative regional investor. I let her believe it. At night, I reviewed more than security footage, phone metadata. She thought encrypted messaging made her invisible. It didn't. Patterns always betray people. 2-hour gaps. Consistent Tuesday meetings at site inspections. A hotel 23 miles away, paid in cash the first time, not the second. They grew careless. Affairs always do. Meanwhile, I approved the boundary amendment. Yes, approved it. Through an intermediary I owned. I expanded it. 20 feet instead of 10, publicly, legally. Her lover celebrated early. He leveraged the new space to secure aggressive financing. He didn't realize the adjacent access road required heavy transport clearance. My clearance. 3 weeks before the Harvest Festival, I acquired the controlling stake in his development lender, quietly. I also posted something unusual. Photos. My villa in Switzerland. Glass walls. Alpine horizon. A helipad. No captions. Just images. By evening, my daughter-in-law called. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes," she shouted over laughter in the background. I paused. "Enjoy," I said. Then I hung up. 71 missed calls followed within 2 hours. From my wife, from my son, from numbers I recognized. Greed makes people fast. Desperation makes them reckless. The Harvest Festival arrived under a pale sky. The entire town gathered near the half-finished development. Banners, music, local officials. My wife stood beside her contractor, radiant, proud. He gave a speech about community expansion. Then I stepped forward. Unannounced, I handed him a folder. No smile. Just paper. Inside, a notice of funding withdrawal. Effective immediately. His lender had collapsed overnight. Margin calls triggered. Access road permits revoked due to revised heavy transport regulations. My regulations. He blinked. This can't be right, he whispered. I tilted my head slightly. Oh, I said softly. It is. My wife grabbed the documents from his hands. Her eyes moved faster than her breath. What did you do? She asked. I met her gaze. I corrected the boundary. Silence spread like oil across water. She understood. Not the scale. Not yet, but enough, the officials murmured. Investors stepped back. Her lover's face drained of color as reality rearranged itself around him. I stayed calm. Always calm. We spoke privately behind the stage. You knew? She asked. Yes. For how long? Long enough. She tried anger first, then tears, then negotiation. You hid things from me. I protected things from you. I showed her my phone. Financial statements, global assets, the Swiss villa deed, ownership structures. Her lips parted slightly. You're worth more than the soil you tried to steal. Her lover approached, panic thinly veiled as outrage. You sabotaged me! No, I replied. You overextended. I leaned closer. You built your empire on land that required my cranes to survive. Did you think that was coincidence? He said nothing. Because there was nothing to say, I had approved the expansion knowing it would tempt him into risk. Then I removed the oxygen, not violently, just precisely. Within days, liens surfaced. Creditors circled. My wife's name appeared in shared communications. Legal exposure followed. Affairs are romantic until they become evidence. She called me that night, crying. I made a mistake. Yes, I said. You'll fix this, right? I let the silence answer first. No. The house is quieter now. Her closet is half empty. The garden remains exactly where it belongs. I walked the original boundary at dusk. 10 feet restored, 20 feet remembered. I don't hate her. Hate requires heat. I prefer cold. The phone stopped ringing after the 71st call. Desperation has limits. So does access. My empire continues moving steel across continents. Cranes lifting impossible weight into measured sky. Precise, balanced, controlled. She mistook restraint for weakness. She mistook silence for ignorance. She mistook me for small. The harvest festival ended with applause for someone else's project. But the real harvest was mine. I didn't crush her loudly. I simply removed the ground beneath her. And when she finally understood the scale of what she had lost, it was already too late. I no longer share boundaries. I enforce them.